Hello, Revernauts. It's Chief Engineer Rever, and we are looking down at our wonderful Reverstan space agency. And I have found a problem. I think it's a bit of a mod problem. Let me show you in the tracking station real quickly. Here we go. So if we come out to here and I look, we have Kareem's capsule, and I can fly that. And I actually tried to start recording the episode and ran into the problem that there's nobody in Kareem's capsule, which makes sense because he's already one of our pilots, which would be a little bit hard to show you from this screen, but you can trust me, we already rescued him, and you can go back and watch the last episode for further proof. And there's nobody in there, which makes sense because we rescued him. So I'm going to terminate this just to try to clear this problem up, but I also want to show you that we have a mission here to rescue Windrod. Well, there's nothing in Windrods. I even flew out there figuring, well, it's probably just some kind of a bug. But I can't fly it. I can't do anything with it. So I want to just get rid of Windrod's contract there for now and just move on with our lives at that point. We have enough people. If I have to buy a couple, maybe we will. And that would be something that'll make buying someone a little bit easier. But let's go over to mission control, and there's our active one. So I'm just going to cancel this particular rescue mission, and we will move forward. So I was looking a little bit more at our contracts, and we've generally set a goal of doing the SETI contracts up to a certain point. And the real goal, even before I started, was to do a manned moon landing. So we are ready to potentially attempt this. And I noticed that we have two more that are considered 0.5 point something. And I think that these two would be very doable at the same time. Because we already have an orbital space station. We may be able to get credit for this without even doing anything. I think the docking, I imagine we might have to send up another vehicle. Well, we can find out if we get credit for it when we go up there. But at this point, it's fine. I think I'd certainly be willing to do that. So I think that we will end this series when we have completed these. At first I had said we would do it when we did the manned moon landing. If it's the case that that's the last thing we do, then that's fine. But this has been a fun series for me to do. I don't intend to make my Tuesday and Thursday videos where this has been to be anything but a more fluid, jump from game to game kind of thing, depending on the mood I'm in and the whatever's popular and that kind of thing. Maybe another newer game. We'll see. I haven't fully decided. But we have a little bit of time at least 2 more episodes. It might even go into next week. So this right now should be what I'll call the Tuesday episode for those of you who are watching it as they come out. And if not, it'll be 2 or 3 more episodes either way. So, and you'll probably already know that if you're watching it in the future. Okay, so let's come over to... We have those contracts. I want to come back to the tracking station. And we have the Kerbal International Space Station. Let's just see what happens if we fly it. Because sometimes you actually have to go out there and be in the vessel. Sometimes you have to watch, they'll say any type vessel probe. And then often you can change the vessel type. Yep, I just saw a contract. World's first milestones. Those are from last episode. Oh, good. We got 240,000 plus we got 10 more science for doing what we've already done. But it doesn't look like we are getting the final contract. Let's see. Yeah. So we have the parts. A vessel docked. Well. Yeah. I guess we don't have a pilot up here, so I don't really want to try to dock and undock this if that might trigger it. But we can always send something up. I mean, even if it's just to relieve the people that are in there, it shouldn't be too hard for us to dock with this. Good. Okay. Well, let's head back down to the planet. So we got another contract completed. And I think the thing to do, we still have, we'll take a look at the alarm clock real quick once we get in here. There we are. So it's the Kerbal alarm clock. So we still have Mimma Station 1, which is chunk heading out to, around Mimis. Now, unfortunately, we didn't put 2 science in there, so we would have to get another scientist out to them. But at this point, we'll only do that if it somehow fits. Maybe we'll send the mission up there. But I think what we should prioritize is designing our moon vessel. So let's close this alarm clock, and we're going to head into the assembly building. And I don't think I'm going to design the whole entire thing here, but let me get us started. There we go. So let's take a look, because we already did in a past episode Kerbal manned lander, manned moon 1. No, that was like an orbiting thing. Moon probe lander. Let's just load that up and see what it looks like. Yeah, so this... Yeah, I'm a little bit confused about what's going on. Is it a staging? What do we do with our staging? Yeah, I think I don't necessarily know that we have to start from scratch, but this certainly won't cut it. Now let's take a look at our contract real quickly. Vessel, destination, moon, situation, landed. At least 1 Kerbal. So what I'm wondering is, do we send up 2 Kerbals like they did in the Apollo landing, where we send them up with a return vessel of 2, and then only one of them actually goes and lands on the moon while somebody else stays in orbit around the moon? Then maybe they could redock, or do we just... Nah, I guess that sounds like an awful lot. I think we want to just send 1 person on a lone mission to land on the moon and hope they make it all the way back. Now, what I would probably want to do is make sure that they could dock to our space station, so that if we got out there, at least they would have that possibility before they landed on the moon of docking with the space station we already have. Which leads us to the thought of, yeah, we could probably send 2 people, but then I don't necessarily want a bigger craft. Like, let's make the smallest craft that we can for now to land on the moon. So I think let me do this. Let's go leave for 1 second. And I think I want to do one thing. Well, yeah, you know what? I'm not going to spend the science until we design this, because I don't know what we're going to need exactly. So I really think that we just need to build an all new thing. And I think I'll be back after I get we're just going to start new. And we need to put something down, and we'll start with, see, this is the question. Like, how do we get the person back? The man lander can is fine, but we wouldn't necessarily... Yeah, maybe we do start with that. How many does it hold? Crew capacity 1. Yeah, we'd want to make it so they can get out. And then we'd probably... Yeah, I think we would leave this on the moon and just, much like they did, only blast off with a top section. Right? So we would have some kind of a coupling. Let's see, what size is this? What's this size? This is too big, I think. No, that's right. So then we would have on top of that some form of engine that would get us back off of the moon. That's awful small looking. Oh, that's all. Is that? Well, that is in the same size range, but it's awful big. Now, how much thrust is that? Well, it's not really that much thrust for all its size. And then on top of that, we would have a heat shield. Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not feeling warm and fuzzy. Don't we have a heat shield that's... No, I guess we can scale this one up. And then we would have... Yeah, see, the thing I don't like about this is I feel like I'm taking too many sections for people. Like, it's sort of a waste to take that manned lunar if we're only going to bring one person up there. Yeah, I'm not feeling this. Well, I think you guys get the idea. So we're going to have a stage that separates. Let me work out some of the details, and then I'll be back. Okay, here we are. Oops, I guess I should have zoomed out a little bit. There we go. Here we are. Maybe I can zoom back in. So it's a interesting craft. I've built similar shaped ones before. Probably every time I do something like this, it's been a while since I played Kerbal Space Program, and I know we had the much simpler craft, but this sort of like took on a design life of its own, right? Where you start, you know what I can see right off the bat? I think, so I scaled these guys up, but this one doesn't look like it's at the same height as its partner. Yeah, let's go like that, right? Want to make sure they're all, oops. Let's, why isn't X working? Huh, weird. There we go. Now it's working. All right, let's make sure they're symmetrical. And I guess we could probably, yeah, I think we're better off with them on the sides here. Now that I think about it, just because, now where is he at? He is, okay, there. So let's take this one. Yeah, is that? Yeah, because in other words, I'm more worried about toppling over from side to side. I think we'll have good stability this way. So yeah, that tucks it in a little bit tighter. So what I would like to do is go through each of the features, and hopefully I didn't... Oh, communications. Yeah, we need some of that. I think the only thing we're going to need is one of these foldable guys here, but let's Shift X, get back out of there. Let's just double click or click here. Yeah, 50,000 meters. We should have a satellite up around there. We don't absolutely need satellite contact, but this should give us enough to communicate for those purposes of sending back, I'm hoping, stuff to the planet. But if not, the plan is, here, let's get rid of that. So the plan is that we will be bringing back the science. So if there's some experiments that we think we can do, we're only going to have one pilot up there. But let's open up the service bay, and I'll show you what's in there. So we just have the single command Mark 1, like we did before I took a little cutout there in the video. We have 4 voltaic panels, 2 chutes, and a surface sampler, which I just kind of stuck up there. I put the mobility enhancer / ladders. They go all the way down to about maybe a little lower, but I wanted to make sure that this was attached to this stage. I don't want to bring the mobility enhancer back with us. I could rather leave that at some point and not bring it back with the parachutes. So I have RCS thrusters just in case. Now we have this big honking thing, which I know is ugly, but I don't think I should or can rescale that. But this is just in case we get into trouble and we want to like refuel. We can go to our moon station and steal some of their fuel and top off these tanks. I'll talk about the fuel usage in a minute, but we have a barometer in there. I have 2 of the goo containers because you can't really reset those. We have our flight computer and whatever the other Kerbal Engineer, and then somewhere up here is a seismometer or accelerometer, which is a seismometer. A seismic accelerometer is a seismometer, and then the hot temperature sensor thermometer. So in any event, there we go. So what I would like to do is take this guy out. What happened there? Do we X 4 times? I think I moved it over. Did we miss him with anything else? Yeah, I think we have to cover up our flag there. That's fine. There we go. So now, I don't know, it looks a little more symmetric. But I want to go out to the landing pad just like launch this guy. Let's call him Moon Lander Manned. Just so we know what it is, and we'll hit save. All right, so let's just launch it, which obviously he's not going to go, we're not going to actually launch. But I know there was some science each time I come out here, and I want to test something else. Just our ability to make sure this guy can get in and out, climb to the ground. I'm almost certain that he can. But let's go ahead and, yeah, let's just take a look at our science thing here. Yeah, see, we could do a material study. Observe. Keep the experiment, and then we could probably do another one. Observe, and that should, yep, keep the experiment. Get us some more science. Now, what else do we have? Surface sample. Yeah, we'll test to make sure this works. Oops, I can't see with the alarm clock. Okay, take surface sample. Yeah, okay. Keep experiment. Yeah, so, well, actually, we should probably, yeah, it's not letting us, can we do, how do we review, why is it not letting us review? That's all right, you know what, we got enough science, I'm not going to worry about it. But we should be able to reset that guy, I believe. All right, so now, yeah, that was it. So now what we want to do is we want to do an EVA. Okay, we could do an EVA report. Apparently we've never done one of those. You can keep that experiment. Well, he can climb. Yeah, okay, he'll climb down and he'll do a surface sample. So let's see, can we, I just want to make sure it's smooth because I don't want to get him onto the moon surface and find out that it's not. No, okay, I think we have to spacebar. Yep. There he goes. All right, we don't want him open. So now we can, well, actually we do. Take surface sample, keep experiment. Is there anything else? No, we don't want to plant a flag here. All right, so let's see if we can't get him to, oh, what happened there? Come on, buddy. There we go. Grab. And just make sure he can get back up. Perfect. That's well worth checking, and especially if you're just have any doubt. Even if you don't have any doubt, just check that, because the last thing you want them to do, and I've had it happen, is get onto the moon and then not be able to get back in the darn thing. So, all right, let's yeah, we don't. It says extend drill, but it actually doesn't. All right, so let's close the bay doors and let's recover the vessel. So that should get us a bit more science. Okay, 28. It's not better than nothing. All right, so now we need to get delta V. I wanted to show you something. We didn't talk about the delta V, but now we are going to. So apparently, and I'm assuming when they give you these numbers, it's around the moon. So I switched the body to the moon here so that we would know how much delta V we needed. And what they basically say is that you need 580 to land and another 580 to take off. And then you need about 300 and some to get away from the moon. So let's just round those up because we're not very good pilots. So it's 600, 600, and 400. So that would be 1,600. And if you look, we have 1,600. Now plus a little bit. So I don't want to add anything more to this thing. Let's close all bays. Let's retract the ladder. Yeah, start retracted. Start retracted. So now what we need to do is build a whole rocket to get us there. So I think we have enough delta V to get down, get landed, and get back. Just so you know, as far as that goes. what I would tend to do is burn here these three, or these two, I'm sorry, where we'll have plenty enough, we should have plenty enough to land, and then really, if we do it well, we almost would have enough to take off with just these two. So what I want to do is fire these off when we're on the moon's surface again, get as high up as we can, and then we'll fire this one, which hopefully will have enough fuel to take us back to the Earth. Now, the only other thing to say about all of this is that I'm cutting it a little bit closer than I would like because I don't have a lot of faith in my abilities. But let's see. We'll see what happens. We will see what happens. All right. So then, yeah, let me come in here and get a coupler or decoupler. So we do have a coupling right here. So this there's our heat shield. We'll just bring this portion back with a big, and hopefully we don't need the clampetron. But there we go. So from this point down, we're going to start building our launch vessel, which I don't think this thing will be great, but we do want to tend to be on the, I think, on the slow side as we're going through the atmosphere. So as usual, give me a few minutes to work out some of the details, and because again, I'm not that good at this, and it will just really, it's a lot of experimentation. But I do need to remember to switch this back over to Kerbin. All right, so if we were to take off from Kerbin, we need to know those numbers. So you can't really look at this as far as what you're going to be doing around the moon. So there we go. But now we can. So we're going to take a look. I'll put some, well, we need to get what? Like 4,500 delta V is a pretty good idea on these stages before we even get to this delta V. All right, so let's, I'll take a look. And we'll build something, and I'll come back to show you guys the features again. I don't think NASA has ever built a more beautiful craft than this. Look, if there weren't so many YouTube copyright strikes for music, we would be playing grand space-like music. Okay. I don't know. If it makes it into space, I'm just going to be really, really happy. If we land on the moon and come back, I'm going to be even happier at that moment. So let's see what happens. But I'll go over what I did. It's really just a matter of, let me hit the shift button so I can zoom in. I just basically started out with this, which is enough delta V. So this is like 5 is this decoupler right here. Right, so if we hover, I guess this is the best way to show it. So stage 5, after that is when we're going to be doing our moon maneuvering. So all of these other stages and whatnot are just to get us hopefully into orbit of the moon. So we'll still have this big section where this, when we get to the moon. So I added a stabilizer before our decoupler, or however you look at that, underneath of the decoupler, and then I actually put another one up in here so that we'd have a little bit of extra control when we got to the moon. So first I started out with this tank, and then I ended up adding another tank, which meant I ended up having to add these rockets to get, we have plenty of thrust with all of this setup, but I needed to get up above about 4,500 delta V on this stage 6, which is, the final part of stage 6 will be just burning this rocket, which we should be doing when we're going into orbit at the moon and heading out there. If you take a look, 2,700 is when we would jettison these 3 stages. So if we came here, when these 3 engines get jettisoned, so that's not going to be enough to get us into orbit. So this little extra boost here will be necessary. Now, I wanted to show you the final tweaking that I do. And typically that is to thrust limit until we get to about 1 with this. So that way what we'll do is we'll burn these off relatively quickly, and they're only going to burn for 50 seconds. And then what we'll do with this next stage, so we're going to actually, let's take, we want these to launch at the same time. So now that we know that this is at 1, I'm going to move these 3 down, and they're going to be all part of this stage 9, I guess it is, this bottom stage. So that we'll release our holder thingies with launch stability enhancers, and we'll fire these 3 engines, but we can control a lot of the thrust and how fast we go. So we'll start off with a pretty low thrust setting, because before we do much maneuvering with this goofy, well, the whole thing is pretty goofy, but before we, oops, I didn't mean to click on that. So before we really want to get out of the atmosphere as slowly as we can. So this will give us nice control with these, and then of course we can also throttle this rocket. These rabbits have a little bit more thrust, but they don't have gimbaling. So I'm hoping that doesn't cause a big problem. But again, we're going to lose those relatively quickly, right? So it shouldn't be, I don't think it's going to be a massive problem. Now the other, you know what, we should probably, let's just see what happens. Yeah, these are the Serpent engines. Are they more money? No, they're actually less. But see, this guy doesn't have gimbaling. But these have less thrust. But I don't think that's, we might be better off with the gimbaling engines. Yeah. Yeah, because, well, wait a second. Let's go back to, oh, wait, when I did, okay, it threw me off. Okay, so there's 0.99, that's fine. And then we have 1.72 thrust, which is fine because that's the minimum thrust. Yeah, we'll have plenty of thrust. But this needs to get moved down into here, so these fire on the start. And then we'll have 202. And we'll have plenty of thrust after we eject these to keep going. And all of this should burn off relatively quickly before we actually get into an orbit. And then we'll get into the final orbit with this, and then we'll use this stage to blast us to the moon. And I went through all that already. All right, so now the only other thing, and I don't really see it happening, is some kind of a fairing. I just don't. We're just going to hope for the best. Okay, so my plan for the rest of this episode is just to see if we can get into space. So let's save this guy. By the way, I've noticed it's a little bit different than I was going to name it, but I like the name Moon Lunde Manned. Okay. All right, so let's just save it, and we will launch. Okay, here we go. So let's put our SAS on for the sake of it. And let's turn our throttle up to, like, say, a third. Because that should get us enough. Like I said, we don't want to be going fast. We want to sort of punch through slowly. I don't really care if our orbit is perfect. We don't need to get into a low orbit or anything like that. So we're just going to try to be careful as much as anything else. Are you ready, Pajar? 3, 2, 1... Go. All right, so far so good. We're leaning, if anything, a little bit to the direction we want to, though I don't really want to lean too much. I seem to have decent control. The Lord knows this is an awkward craft. See what I mean? Like when we get going fast. Oh, you know what we don't have? We don't have any fins. Let's see how we make out without any fins. We got plenty of gimbaling, right? Yeah, so we're going nice and slow through this lower part of the... Yeah, you know what? We need fins. Okay, let's put some fins on. Winglets. Yeah, let's put on... you know what? Can we put 3 in there? Yeah, just for a little added, because, hey, why not? Let's put 3 on here. Well, let's make it nice and symmetrical looking. We'll have more than enough fins. And it looks pretty symmetric that way. All right, let's try that again. All right, let's save it just so that we can come back to it at some future whenever, even though we know the future is limited. We're getting our funding cut. You know, I was wondering before when we came out here, it said we still had science we could do, but let's close that. I don't know why I had it open. Okay, so we look like we're good. Let's go SAS. And 3, 2, 1, go. Oh, we didn't turn our throttle up. At least we didn't smash into the ground. There's a little bit of waste of fuel, right? So let's head over just slightly this way. Yeah, a lot more control. Now, we're not going to have a lot of fin control until we get up there a fair amount. Not so over too much. The jar is not holding us too steady. Just try to stay right on that 90 line. Solid fuel's almost burn off, and then so we'll stage and then go to full throttle. But yeah, this is much better. We're pretty darn stable here now. Whoa! No! Back over to 90. Really squirrely. There we go. That's fine. We went out. We that was ugly, but we'll cut down on the throttle a little bit. Up to about 2 minutes. Yeah, let's cut that off. Let's do a maneuver real quick. Right, apoapsis 142, periapsis 86. We'll circularize it a little bit more. I don't want to spend too much time worrying about that. That's fine. Then we just want to move that back a little bit. Oh. Okay, let's get over there. Uh-oh, we don't have any control. Yeah, I'd have like no control. All right, let's, now that we're pretty much out of the atmosphere, we can extend the solar panels. All right, I'm gonna have to stage here too, which is fine because I think that's part of what's making us so uncontrollable. So the burn time is 54 seconds, and I'm not sure how well we do when we go through these stages with calculating all that, but I'd rather burn sooner than later anyway. So I'm just going to burn full throttle now, at least until we stage. I don't want to get behind it. Right? I'd rather be ahead of the whole thing here. It makes me nervous until I see those orbits up above. Yeah, there we go. Now we're really pushing that time to apoapsis out a bit, even though we're good. I like where we're at. I don't mind if we get our orbit apoapsis higher. Yeah, that's enough just to save a little bit on fuel. Let's get rid of this maneuver. We're going to set up another maneuver here. Now we should be able to circularize nicely. Oops, too far. It doesn't have to be circular, but why not? Good practice. There you go. Pretty darn circular. All right, so in 2 minutes, yeah, so now we have much better control. We're going to burn for 7 seconds. All right, so let's take a look at how we're doing. Anything else we need to do? Can we do some science that we could send back? No. Yeah, our photovoltaic cells. I put them on, quote, upside down. I hope that works out pretty well, but at least we're collecting some light at this point. And yeah, let me just fast forward carefully. There we go. Yeah, you know what? We're close enough, so I'm just going to start burning. Even though I have the timer there, it's nice to just... I don't really need to follow this. It's just I'm more worried about this being right. I guess we can give it a little more throttle. Again, because we're burning ahead of it, you know, if you burn a lot less throttle, you're sort of... You want to spread out your burn evenly over both sides of it. So we're kind of doing that by burning slower. There we go. Now we're in an official orbit. A little more throttle, a little bit less. Oh. Yeah, I went off target there. All right, good enough. Yeah, I fouled that up, didn't I? But we're in a good orbit. It's not circular, but again, that's fine with me. Why are you spinning so much? Now, one of the things we can do is kill the rotation using that. Right? I kind of like the fact that he's pointing right at the sun. Okay, well, there we go. I think I'm going to call it an episode here. It's been long enough. And when we come back for the next episode, we will be... Oh, look, we're on Moonrise. Oh, no, you know what? We're going to burn right now. Unaided by a maneuver. We're just going to see if we can burn. No, you know what? I think I'm going to go around again. That's dumb. I'm sorry. Sorry to get you excited. But now this is right exactly when we would want to burn, but I'd rather calculate it out. Yeah, I think you can understand why. Okay, well, we will come right back, and we will see if we can get Pajar to land on the moon in the next episode, and that will probably... Well, we'll see. We might come back for one more episode to clean up our other things, or maybe we'll clean them up before he lands. We'll just have to see how long it takes. But maybe one more episode after we land on the moon. Maybe we'll leave him out on the moon because, just to justify it. Because it was and return a man safely back to Kerbal. All right, so guys, I hope you enjoyed the episode. Have a good day. Take care.